And stops it.
This one right here.
I got you.
All right.
All right. I got you.
All right.
Now, can you record off of this to a DVD?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Well, I know that. I want to get one.
All right,
That's why I'm asking you.
No problem. Not a problem.
Well, I'm trying to look for one. That's why I was
Turn the phone down. Can he? Does he hear us?
Yeah, he should be able to hear us. He should be able to hear us. Yeah.
All right, you can hear?
Yep.
Ready, Todd?
Yes.
All right. Meeting of Majlis, Consular Court, as well as the Imperial Divan is now in order. Let us all rise, face to east, and repeat the Moorish prayer after the sisters. Do the sisters all know it? Yeah. Islam.
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 Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Who is Holy Prophet.
Who is Holy Prophet.
Through Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm the rock.
Islam.
Chapter 25.
Yes.
Or you just want to say it?
Well, can you hit it? Yes. Go ahead.
All right.
Or have one of the sisters read it. Preferably, have people read it.
Where's
They don't
Melody?
get used to it.
Melody? I got a job for you.
Okay.
Since you was missing in action for quite a while. Now we want you up here. We want your face. We want you up here. Chapter 25?
A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given the son. Let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own son. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, in love to each other.
All right, we're going to go into some of our reports from some of the committee people. I know I was sort of remiss with this. I apologize. I was like on another planet and could not get it together. But anyway, that's right. Brother Troy has his report, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Isaiah?
Yes.
All right. Islam.
Islam family.
Islam.
Come up front. Please. Thank you.
So, for reestablishing the press, I first reestablished the newspaper. We have a newspaper that we're going about, and it's called Read More About It.
How do you spell read?
So R-E-A-D,
All right.
More,
M-O-O-R?
M-O-O-R, and then About It.
All right.
And we chose Read More About It because
Speak loud because of
we chose read more about it because read means to interpret, to analyze, to examine, to research, to study, to cross-reference. So we said read more about it. So any subject, you're going to be reading, researching about it. And we want our people to start to get in that mindset to study everything that comes across their path. So we have the read more about it website. It's called treatyduties.com. We have treatyduties.com, and it's centered like a website. It has,
do that at the top of the board, please.
yeah, so treatyduties.com, and it has a host of different subtopics dealing with transgressors of the law, breach of trust, ancient returns. So that's like an article for the children. Like you see in the newspaper with comic strips, that's what it is for the children, but it's going to be illustrated. We have 7 News Media, where we'll be having our own actual news site, and we'll be having a person like a news anchor recording real live time news and everything like that. We have the right to travel pages, the proclamation section, the affidavit sections, the denial of Fifth Amendment rights sections. We have the due process of law section. So we have a lot of sub headings. In fact, when Osiris get here, I can pull up the website so everybody can see it. We have My Sons of the Week, which is highlighting mother and son for their honorable work and integrity to uplift fallen humanity. We have Moroccan Star of the Week, and that's highlighting a specific person who has exemplified and showed different characteristics of the Moorish nation, for the 5 principles. We have the Justice League, and that's more like for the consulate, the consular court section, like, extracting writs, extracting Moors from, those kidnapping policy enforcement. We have a section on there that's going to be for the minutes, so we can post that, and everything will be posted, inquiries, and we have all of these different things. We actually have we've been trying to get the camera and the mic and everything set up, so we're starting off with the Great Seal on all of our productions. We have the camera, the backdrops, and I'm giving auditions to people to lead the anchor, so we have that going. And as far as for even reaching out and branching out with the different temples, and I won't get in too much into that, I know that's Troy's committee, but we've been going to the temples and teaching civics, and they actually are going to let us come in and do the business side, so we're just trying to work out the logistics with that, and we're going to be having our own businesses out of the temples, and we're having civics classes every Thursday. And as far as for the paper, the only issue that we had was the finance, and we just got the finance for it, so we'll be uploading a weekly paper, and people will be able to get a PDF form and be able to pull it right off the website.
Question, have you made a budget for this, or?
Yes, we it's quarterly, so it'd be 94 notes, but each person, we did the math, each person add in a 20, and I'll cover the rest. So like the last time we had 4 people give 20 and I paid the rest. But the more we have involved, the cheaper it'll be. And we also have I forgot to bring it, but it's a schedule of how often we'll be making those contributions. So that's what we have so far for the first.
One more question. website, that's how people make donations, or how you?
I need to add a donation tab to that.
Yeah, you do, so, have people support it.
Right, yeah, I need to add a donation page, and the papers are only $1.50, one note and 50 cents. So, it's pretty inexpensive for people to get.
So self-sustaining. Thank you.
Hey, question.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Questions?
Question. Back to the fee. You said 20, how much was it total?
Yeah, so
No
it,
fees.
Wait a minute, the donation.
right, donation is 94 notes. So
Now,
if anybody
All right,
donate,
I don't want you covering the rest. That's a lot coming out of your pocket. I know what you're saying down the road, once you get more people, but that's a lot for you to cover. I can see with the 20 and, notes, but that's a lot for you to cover, man. How long are you gonna cover that,
well, this website, the site that we're using is just for us to branch off, because I'm trying to bring back the Moorish media.
Right.
We're gonna have Atlantis Rising
But
media, so they're gonna be going together.
What you can do is keep track of what you're putting in. So once you grab, take enough people, you start paying yourself that back, okay? Because that's too much for you to be pulling out of your pocket each time. But once you get the people set up, then you start keeping track of what you put in, so you can get that back, okay?
So
Well, the budget would be.
that's the sheet.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. But that's just,
Expenses, assets, and everything
yeah,
else,
right, but that's him putting in a lot, he's gotta get his expenses back too. That's what I'm saying.
People trying to initiate things.
Right.
You have to bump start it.
Yeah.
Just keep track of it. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'll report the
yeah,
sheet.
because that's a lot you're putting out, okay?
And keep receipts, all right? Because we gotta get a budget
Yeah,
committee,
that's what
period,
we should,
And so just keep your receipts so that we know, what we're working with, all right?
Right, there you go.
All right, any more questions?
Oh, that's right. Slum. So as far as for slum, media guru right here. So, yeah, a lot of good ideas for businesses and everything. Slum. So for the sister websites, I think that's what you're asking about. Right, so like I'll like have, each of our sister little neighboring websites on there, and promoting and spotlighting, and also sending traffic to their websites as well. So to answer that.
Anyway, I'll be sending you an article that I want you to publish it too, to deal with the controversy. Also, for sisters to read religious controversy.
Speak up!
Do we need to crank up the microphone?
We can turn it on.
It's been on.
It's been on.
No, the mic.
I don't know how to do that.
All right. Anyway,
Troy, you know.
Go ahead.
let me turn this thing off. Y'all excuse, but we're doing, have to do some emergency work here, so excuse the mess. I want people to read religious controversy in the divine warning by the prophet. But of course, religious controversy, because that has to be addressed so that we can communicate with the community in general. Now, when the prophet was on the scene, one of the things that he did with the paper, he maintained a column for all organized groups to write issues in the paper that were working to uplift fallen humanity. That was both Europeans and Asiatics. So so we be aware of what the prophet did is not necessarily what you see a lot of people claiming about the prophet. So you don't cut yourself off from other active groups just because they're in another organization if they're working towards helping to uplift fallen humanity. Are we clear? And the other thing that I wanted everybody to pay attention to, because as the people have been developing and learning, you know, when you start telling certain truths, it causes roaches to come out, if you get the point. And you have people on our side of the nation as well as Europeans, that when the masses begin to really learn, or if you're doing things like you're doing like that, and you come together to get things done, you will come under a serious attack. Expect it. Do you understand? Because remember, Noble Drawley says, the Europeans are living off your virtues. Keep that in mind. He said, be careful, Moors. Many of these people wearing turbans and fezzes will be trying to put you back into slavery, right? Which is another reason we read the letter from the prophet, that the prophet demanded to be read before every meeting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And I think when you read that letter, you'll recognize why they don't read it. You know what I mean? So, but also that you understand that they're not necessarily, just because they're professing his name, that they don't necessarily support the prophet. A lot of people are there for financial means. Some people are there because they can get a hold of people's finances using the temples to get it. You know, they've been collecting bus funds for decades. How many buses you seen? Every charter commands that a temple must have a school. How many schools you see? But how many you see them same people criticize people outside of the temples who establish schools for the people? They're the ones who attack them. But you need to know their motives. All right? But don't confuse or condemn the temple when you see the corruption of people that may be running them. There's not to be mixed. Do you understand? And the other thing that I want to bring to everybody's attention, and this is what's good in the work that you all been doing, is because a lot of people who come into this movement and haven't been contaminated necessarily by people in the temple, but who's got an opportunity to really study what the prophet says, you'll see that your views are different, and you will actually clash with many of them. But the reason you clash is because you haven't been contaminated by what is called the Great Sellout. And you're looking at the information objectively. But understand what you're dealing with, and you don't reject them because of that. We're trying to heal that, but at the same time, don't let them stagnate you. Are we clear? Keep this in mind. And one of the reasons I put this on the board is because of some operatives on our side that, you know, because I always put out the lesson books strategically, because I know that some would come among us. Do you understand? Some come for finance, some come for power, ego, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so now that we've had a lot of people come in from all walks of life to try to get things done, they're coming under attack by both jealous people, petty people, and stuff like that, trying to disrupt things before they get grounded. Now, the point that I want to make to you is this. You'll see on the back of the questionnaire, Corporation Religious Affidavit of Organization number 1010-5905, which you're familiar with. And that's on August the 20th of 1928. Are we clear? Noble Drawley failed his form in 29, right? Just short of a year of his life, the religious affidavit existed in the movement. Are we clear? From the old Canaanite temple on up to the Moorish Temple of Science are civic platforms, are we clear? That teach government, estate law. Are we clear? Business for women. Young Businessmen's League, teaching young brothers business, etc. Trust. Are we clear? Governmental structure. This is also why the prophet promoted for you to study Marcus Garvey, too, because he taught government structure. All right? And he's referred to as a forerunner. Are we clear? Or a harbinger. Are we clear? Clear. So, keep this in mind and write this down so you keep this in your mind, and this is so that you can defend the prophet and the movement. Don't get confused, the prophet and the movement, with necessarily us, the temple, or anyone else. Look at it from principle always. Are we clear? And then look who harmonizes with that principle. That's how you read people. That's how you can tell what their motives are and what their motives are not. And a lot of people aren't trained to study, so a lot of people don't know how to look at timelines, do not know how to do cross-reference, do not know how to research congressional record, do not look at corporate record, do not understand corporate constructs, how they operate, who deals with them, what they do, what they get involved in organizations. And they usually develop opinions based on people around them, not on knowledge. Are we clear? So I want you to pay attention to this. The old Canaanite temple was established in 1913. Are we clear? The Moorish Science Temple of America, which is a religious affidavit attached to the Moorish Temple of Science, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Are we clear? This order is unincorporated. This name was adopted for its corporate business for the Moorish Temple of Science. You must be clear on this. And because a lot of people don't bring this out to people, people get caught up in controversies that keep occurring, or gray areas, or schisms. Are we clear? Divisions that shouldn't exist. But they do exist because people are not cognate. Are we clear? Or educated. And then some people have less than honorable intentions of trying to control people, and when they can't, they start attacking people who get educated because they don't really want these people educated. They want believers, they want followers, and they want bill payers. But they're really not developing the people. And because they haven't been developing the people, Moors, conscious Moors, have been losing their properties, their homes, their vehicles, and everything else because the Constitution has not been enforced, which is at the heart of this movement. It's at the heart of this movement. That's in your divine constitutional bylaws. Please read that and read the historical message to America, right? So that you get your concepts clear. Are we clear? So, from 1913 and continuing up to 1928, and then 1 year from this, almost about 11 months, they got rid of Noble Drali, and he did this in order to protect the movement. Are we clear? He was forced. You'll read an article where the prophet says, forced to make changes. So the prophet had to make adjustments because of the infiltration. People don't talk about it. And so a lot of times people come in this movement and they think that this order here, under this religious affidavit, was established in 1913. It was not. Old Canaanite Temple was established in 1913. This didn't come about to 1928, 1 year before the prophet's death. Are we clear? Now, it's not wrong, but it needs to be put in context. And I noticed that when people learn about this movement, that is never put in context for them. They try to make the people think that this religious affidavit existed from 1913. It did not. Are we clear? And so by virtue of that, when people who are who deal with scholarship, recognize the real history, people who keep trying to misrepresent this movement will attack us. Are we clear? And then pretend that we're against the prophet or the movement when we're actually educating the people, because that's the problem with the movement. That's what the sellout is all about, which is why Moors are suffering today that they shouldn't be suffering, the Negro Acts. Are we clear? And people who don't know what to reference get caught in that gray area. Are we clear? Islam, Brother Troy.
Islam, just for the record, for clarity, can you take 2 minutes and say, and go in on going to the religious affidavit or making it a religion, help?
He didn't make it a religion. See, that's
Can I have a little order? We're trying to get through the business, and then we can have,
The questions at the end.
All the questions. Reserve your questions.
Yeah.
Reserve it, all right?
All right.
Write it down, keep it.
But we gotta
We're trying to
go.
get through business here, we have business to attend to, and I'm giving you another 5 minutes there, bro.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, but I want to make that point. Civic book lesson number 14, I want to bring this to your attention. Now, in 1982, I founded Moorish Order of the Roundtable. And I prepared lessons for my children, and of course I have a background beyond when I came into the temple. Temple just gave me another platform to do what I was already doing. However, I started sharing with the public, but after doing research in microfilm, because I went to Chicago, went into the microfilm, and went back into the 20s and stuff when the prophet was on the scene. And plus I talked directly with Grand Sheikh Hamid Il, who was the last of the Grand Sheikhs to walk with Prophet Noble. He's the one that gave me charter. He's the one that gave me his own personal Quran. He gave me bylaws with the Moorish Temple of Science and the Moorish Science Temple together.
Islam.
And I noticed that everyone, when I traveled the country, was avoiding that, wouldn't talk about it and everything else. So I learned quite early that we had problems, with sellout. And but the deal of it is, I always knew how to research. I had a library since I was 7.5, so I'm not a dummy. And I don't go into things and people just tell me things and I'm all starry-eyed. I'm not impressed. Do you get the point? Because I know how to research. But I do notice, and I notice that many of our people don't, if you get the point. And I looked at myself as having a lot of shortcomings in that area, but the more and more I dealt with people, I recognized they not only didn't know how to read, they didn't have basic research skills. And so I would share them with the people, and again, recognize immediately how many of the so-called leadership would get upset. It didn't take me long to realize that they really didn't want these people to learn. See, because when you learn, nobody can BS you. You start producing things. So I want you to notice in lesson book 14, which we'll get to later after we take care of business, why I separate them books for the very same controversies that are coming up in recent months. Because I already knew they would come up, because I do have more than one eye, if you get the point. But I just wanted you to bring that to your attention, which is also why you're here doing consular court. And so I'm going to back that up again later on, and to reassure you why I did that book, why I separated them, etc. And some of the things you see now, I already saw that crap coming. But like they got control of them institutions, they got finance, but I got this.
Islam.
You know what I mean? So I just want to bring that to your attention while you're here. Islam, I yield the floor.
I'd like to thank you for your very thorough research and actually the application of what you researched. All right, thank you, brother. Islam.
Thank you, good brother. Much appreciated. And all of you all have been working to get those things done. Much appreciated.
Yes.
And the other thing that I want to say, when not interjecting, excuse me for interjecting, is that this is what we're seeking. Brothers and sisters who can think for themselves, who don't need to be babysitted, that don't need to be micromanaged, you know what I mean? And we're all learning. You will make mistakes along the way, but you can tell when someone is sincere and really wants to get something done, because they will get something done. And then we'll clean things up as we go along. However, that's what we're all here for. Keep that in mind. And particularly with the mothers, and I can't emphasize it enough, do not take back seats. Do not take back seats with this information. Just because a lot of us sons are doing things, we're just doing things because, we've been suppressed. But the sisters have really got to get grounded in this information and get rid of the cattiness that they've learned to practice and all that petty crap, that gossipy, stupid stuff, and really get some work done, because our economic and political lives depend on it. And babies' lives depend on it. When y'all get this done, y'all can just send us out to do what we have to do, and y'all can start running this stuff like it's supposed to be done. I yield the floor, excuse me, but I'm ranting because, I'm dealing with a lot of other issues that I'm trying to counter so that the people can get something done. Because when you start hitting the nails in the coffin, all of a sudden you learn there was a vampire in there. He's banging, trying to get out.
That's right.
Yeah. Islam, yield the floor.
Islam. All right, let's see the report from Brother Choi, the Committee on Temple and Religion, Housing, Finance. Brother Choi.
I'm not going to be long. My I can be here. So let me just quickly go through some things. Just give me a minute. All right, there are a couple of things that I wanted to address. Brother Nagi, Islam, brother.
Islam,
it's
brother.
me, you know. One thing I wanted to talk about, I'm a little concerned. I've looked into, the other piece was, you know, the post office, the banking. Believe it or not, it's not a new concept. In 1960, up until 1960, you could do your banking at your post office.
Yes.
They shut down the post office right around the time they were closing up the last cases of Consular court. I thought that was very, very
Interesting.
interesting. I don't believe it's a coincidence. So my research is digging on a way to. There's a senator out there promoting the fact that senator out there promoting. Oh, we got to get back to the post office to do banking. I don't know what to believe. I just know that we can currently use we need to utilize the post office more than what we're doing right at this very time.
And do something different. That's for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Because the banking is not going to work. And the last piece was, what was that? What's this on currency?
Yeah.
I'm still digging on trying to find a viable way other than a straight up trade for services on currency, but we need another currency.
Well, now your other report is temple and religion.
I have the concept, the contact for, my job was to find where to go
All right.
to order any other things for the temple, and we have that contact. So I can feed that to you, Mother, at another time. So for anything you need in the temple, what you got?
Yeah.
Questions? Any questions?
Yeah, so for one, we know that Uranus is in Taurus, so finances and possessions will be changing frequently. So we probably want to come up with that same trade and barter system to, between us and come up with our own currency until then.
You have to have the currency backed by something. The trick to currency, it's kind of funny, is the same thing that's working right now. Dare I say it? Belief, faith.
Because it is a faith and honor.
It's a faith and honor in the currency.
And trust.
And a trust. Right now, that private commercial paper and those securities, we still exchange. And when you show it out on the street, people believe in it.
Well,
So for us to have a currency, there's a huge honor. We got to do some filtering, so we can have the trust and faith in one another.
It sounds like he's trying to get in there.
Now, he's right here.
But he's trying to clear you up.
Go ahead.
so yeah, because like for example, like when Dave and Buster's had their own cards,
Yes.
finance cards,
Yes.
we can do the same thing off of an honor system, like we talked about before. So like we come up with our own honor system until we get our actual AA back, our rule back. And I know we don't have to decide on it now, but that's something that we to get away from that system, because it's already crashed. So.
Not to oversimplify,
Mhm.
but fundamentally, the biggest thing is just honor. If you had people to have honor and believe, we could do a currency system tomorrow.
So in human interchange, you're talking de jure, de facto.
Yes.
And in principles, like the prophet says, in principles, it's moral, and ethical, right? And in your social form, it's actually, political and economic.
It's going, brother.
We already have the finance. You have to, the goal is more, stay away from Bitcoin and silver. Any silver you can get your hands on, any pieces, any little bit, it's all going to go back to that. So we should be gravitating to that, other than that plastic, because that's going to collapse too. But the people don't understand what the value is of that silver. They're using that paper, their minds are still in that paper thing, but we got to gravitate and get as much, because it's cheap right now. I've been watching the prices, I keep track of that. And anybody can get it right now. But when it collapses, brother, you're talking $100, $300 overnight. And there we go, we're right where we need to be. So we should have that consciousness of using that. Because gold's expensive. Everybody can't afford it, but everybody can get a piece of silver. And that's going to feed you, it's going to put gas in your car, and it's going to keep you maneuvering till this problem is solved. And it's going to be at least 3 months.
Just for clarity, yeah, 90 days, right? Just for clarity, you're saying we want to invest in silver.
I would, definitely.
No argument there. We had that, but are we going to make it? Are we answering our own question? Are we going to make silver our currency? We can, but I was thinking.
From day one, it's been there on the planet, and nature gives it to us. And I think that is the value. It's going to go back to that. They know this, but they're playing their game right now. But it is, like you said, it's already collapsed.
Any feedback on
All
that?
right, there's a question on the floor, whether what Brother Jim has said in suggesting about the silver, am I hearing any feedback with regard to that? Does anybody understand where he's coming with that? Islam.
Yes, because when we're looking at Bitcoin, the different multiple mirror orders based on Bitcoin, they got about 50 others. What everyone's dancing around, trying not to get back to the constitutional principle. That's
Right.
what it really boils
Yes.
down to.
Yeah.
And when it really boils down to over a period of time, they will be coming up and collapsing, and in fact, they'll be actually draining the people's economics.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Key, silver coins in your pocket, and I say silver even before the gold.
Mm-hmm.
The gold would be a reserve issue. Silver is everyday monetary movement.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The issue is now, as far as dealing with trying to secure any energies
Right.
that one acquires in the abstract, digital, you still have the honor, as Brother Troy's talking about, that really boils down to that. All right. However, key. Even when you look at the discussions in Bitcoin and even your most powerful exercise of blockchain, etc., it's a necessary process to start locking out the corruptors.
Right.
In the fact that you need to understand what they're addressing with Bitcoin and with blockchain is really a jurisdictional issue, and I don't think that people are looking at that.
Right.
The masses don't yet have a concept clear of the abstract and the aggregate in relationship to monetary systems. Current and currency is based on electric or
Yep.
energy,
Yep.
electric,
Yep.
nature, abstract.
Mm-hmm.
Because energy is the source of operations on the planet. And when we're talking finance from that monetary position, we're not talking this, we're not making reference, although it's totally related to resources, which is really what we should be addressing, the land and resources, because everything monetarily is rooted in movement of the resources. If we're dealing with an honor of a respect of transference of abstract digital energies, you're making reference not to that, but to the jurisdiction on the land resources. And they don't want people to think of what is really going on. Keep in mind this. One of the things that the Romans talk among themselves, and that is practiced amongst European businessmen, is that the masses must never come to the realization of the propagation of this fact, that the masses have been trained deliberately to think that capital generates labor, when the fact is that labor generates capital.
Right, right.
So which means the energy that the people keep looking for outside themselves is really in themselves. And he who controls the jurisdiction of person and territory controls the energy. So it doesn't matter what instruments that they have, the issue is to make them think that they have money when they don't.
Mhm.
And then think that money is the issue when it isn't. It's the bookkeeping system related to the resources that are attached to the land, which is what they want to keep us from looking at.
Mhm.
Which is why the Pope set up the Global Estate Trust.
That, one other thing,
Wait,
I just want to remind you,
I'm
that's
finishing my
something to think
question.
on while
He
we're
jumped in.
analyzing these things.
he jumped in, I was finishing my question. I've been studying economics for about 10 months. And I've studied all that, down to the science of what it is. And if you got any questions, I can clarify all that, because I've been studying it. See, we weren't taught economics. And what he is talking about is right, but the economic part of it, they didn't teach it. So we'll get it, but what are we gonna do with it? You know what I mean? But that Bitcoin, the CIA, 20 years, they worked with that before they even gave it to the people. Now they're trying to going to the so-called banks and trading in, banks won't accept it.
Bitcoin's a trap, brother.
Exactly.
I-
That's it, that's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's it.
That's my
That's what it is.
assessment.
That's what it is.
And no, I'm just.
Exactly what it is.
It really is, and the last big splash that took place over the last couple of months, a lot of people got hurt. Those splashes are gonna, those hits are gonna be even bigger.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
My brother.
I'm
Go ahead,
trying.
say what you think. See, say what, now, this is how we gonna solve problems.
All right, here we go.
Ad hoc.
Yeah.
You know, meaning that, what are we really doing? We are analyzing things, analyzing our learning, analyzing things that affect us directly.
Yeah.
And what has happened with us? When we start hitting the nail of truth, we start getting careful, we start restricting, and so what do we do when we do that? Then the next generation suffers. We either going to deal with truth or we're not. My position is this: if we're not going to tell the truth and deal with the truth to solve problems, leave the people alone, go home, drink a beer, and stop faking. And this is basically what we keep doing to the next generation. Then we want to start another organization and talk about what's wrong with the next generation. What's wrong with them is what's wrong with us.
Well, Taj, here's my piece. Is we gotta, if you're talking about currency, in my mind, from what I have.
We got to identify
We
what
gotta-
currency is.
We do.
That's the deal.
We do.
What
But we
is
gotta
currency?
scrap our old concept.
Now, look at this. We're not talking about what you know, what I know.
Yeah.
The masses think currency is money. Currency is not money. Currency is electricity.
Islam.
That's number one. That's why they call it current.
Islam.
And it's also water current, which symbolizes life. You know, how do you stagnate someone's currency? How do you kill a stream? How do you